guys, welcome back to the official first lesson of HebrewLingo. I'm Ryan, and today we're going to be talking about some basic sentence structures, some new vocab words. For those of you who are following along on Duolingo, this covers the first two lessons in the first chapter. So let's learn some new letters. So the first letter that you're learning is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it's called Aleph. Now it'd be nice and easy to say that Aleph is just an A sound, but then I'd be wrong. Sometimes it makes an A sound, sometimes it makes an I sound, sometimes it just takes the sound of the vowel next to it, but it is still incredibly important and used a ton. Okay, so the next letter is bet, or sometimes called vet. Now a bet or a vet makes a B or a V sound. Why does it have two names? Well, in Hebrew, if you've ever seen a children's book, you might notice that a lot of letters that seem normal to you actually have dots around them, underneath them, they have lines or dots in the middle of them. And that's because Hebrew is weird to read the same way that English is. These little symbols are called nikud, and they tell new readers exactly how the vowels sound. Now, when bet has a nikud that indicates that it's going to be a V sound, and it's called vet, but really you can just call it bet because that's kind of the overarching name for the letter anyway. On to the next letter, which is called hey. Hey makes an H sound. It can also be used at the end of words to indicate other vowels, so it's like our normal H. And the final letter we're going to be learning for this lesson is mem. Mem is really easy, it's literally just the M sound. But if you watch the alphabet video, you will notice that mem actually has a version called mem sofit. But basically, a sofit version of a letter means that it's typically used at the end of a word as opposed to the normal version of the letter. So that's something. So here are the letters that you learned today: Aleph, Bet, Hey, and Mem. And on to some vocab. We are learning 3 nouns today with the letters that we learned. The first noun that we're going to learn is Abba, which means dad. The way that you spell it is Aleph, Bet, Aleph, or like an ABA. It's like the band. The next word is Ima, which means mom. Now this word is a really good example of why Aleph is the craziest letter ever, because it literally makes 2 different vowel sounds in the same word with no help. On to the next word, which is Ahava, which means love. Now the spelling for this is Aleph, Hey, Bet, Hey, which is a fine example of how Hebrew sometimes just does not include vowels in the way that they spell things. So there's vocab for today, which is Abba, Ima, and Ahava. Now the verb that we're going to use the most today is ba, or ba, because of genders. So ba means to come, and ba is the masculine version of the word, and ba'a is the feminine version of the word. So here's how you kind of maneuver around gendered verbs. Almost always when you're talking about verbs, if you're ever giving 2 versions of it, one masculine, one feminine, then the feminine one is pretty much always the longest. The feminine one also often ends with an et if the masculine version of the word ends in a consonant. And the way that you use it is really simple. You really just put it as the word after the noun. Okay, so this slide over here genuinely just shows you an example of a way that you can use a verb. Okay, so the example sentence that we're using over here is Abba, ba, and Abba means dad and therefore is masculine, and ba is masculine because it describes Abba. Now learning how to ask a question in any language is super important, so I'm gonna start you off with one. How do you think we could turn this sentence into a question? Think long and hard. That's right, by putting a question mark at the end. This is literally one of my favorite grammar things of all time in Hebrew, and it's the fact that you can literally just put a question mark at the end of a statement and turn it into a friggin' question. I need a moment. Okay, so I'm gonna give you 2 quick practices over here. Basically, what I want you to do is first translate the sentence and also be able to read it out loud. And I'll give you time right now. So. Are you done? If not, you can pause it right here real quick. Okay, so I'm assuming that you're done. It says Ahava ba'a, which means love is coming. Did you guys get that right? No, answer out loud. Okay, here's sentence number 2. Go. Okay, if you need more time, pause right here. I'll be waiting whenever you get back. But if you're ready, it translates to, and I added some punctuation there so you guys kind of get the dynamic of some sentences. Ima, Abba, ba, and that means mom, is dad coming? So if you guys translated that correctly, then you pretty much get the gist of Hebrew grammar with verbs. Okay, so questions are pretty easy, but technically they weren't really always like that. So there is a word that was meant to specifically indicate if a sentence was a question, and it is ha'im. So you can use ha'im as the first word in a question, but it's actually not used very often. It's considered really, really proper, but I'm just putting it in here so that you guys are kind of aware that it exists, but you don't really need to overstudy it. Now here's a really important word, ha. Ha means the. Now Hebrew writing does something that English does not, in that it takes the smaller words like the and it attaches it to the word, like in the writing. So it's ha-abba, if you're gonna say the dad. Now it's really confusing to begin with because sometimes you're looking at a word that begins with a hey and you're like, is that a the? Or is it actually part of the word? But really once you get a good foundation of Hebrew vocabulary, you really get it. Okay, so that's all the learning that we've got in today's lesson. I know it was a lot to process, but trust me, you've got this. Take it away. You got it? Okay, so the translation for this sentence is ha'ima ba'a, which means, is the mom coming? We don't really have the ba'a in English. We don't have like that, the break in between, but it's kind of like if you had like a voice crack in the middle of a word. Okay, really awesome job. Now here is a second one. And then after this one, we have one more, and then the lesson's done. Okay. The police. Now? During quarantine? Okay, so since love is feminine, the answer to this is ahava ba'a, which means love is coming, and ba'a is feminine. Now for the final practice of the day, you can do it. You got this. Heck yeah. Take it away. You probably didn't pay much attention to the first word when we were learning it. I wouldn't either. But, okay. Pause now if you don't want to hear the answer yet. If you're still working, it's a hard one. Okay, so the answer is ha'im ababa, which means is dad coming, but it's the proper word at the front, ha'im. Woo! Okay, so that was the first lesson that you guys got through. I'm really proud of you. That was a ton of information to handle. I know. If you want, you can rewatch this or you can work on the Quizlet that I put in the link below. That's all done. Please give me suggestions as to how anything might help because this is the first time I've ever taught anything. My comments are completely open. I'm here like all the time and I will answer you. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. So I think that's the end of today's lesson. My name is Ryan. Thank you so much for tuning in and hopefully see you next lesson. Bye.